Let's talk about the mysterious buyer. The mysterious trader has placed $3 billion bet on a stock market rally through 2027.
Hmm.
What does this tell you about institutional conviction when it comes to the stock market?
He must have been at the Saudi meeting with Trump and Elon. Listen, there are signs, and I like when people vote with their dollars. We'll talk about if you should short sell the American market maybe after this. But when a person puts this amount of capital into the market, they're not doing so gambling. They have a probability of what the outcome is going to be. They probably ran enough simulations to know, in worst case scenario, what's going to happen in their favor. And one of my favorite scenario ratios is 1 to 5, lowest 1 to 3. So if they put in 3 by 2027, they're expecting probably 9 billion out. This is definitely a sign of a person that's probably in an institution or has institutional ties who heard some information that is going to cause the market to soar. This is not
Yeah.
gambling. This is a guaranteed damn near investment that they're making.
So here's the interesting part, and it said a rally to 2027, which means that there might be a pullback because we've gotten back to even from the beginning of the year, and so I'm
Yep.
interested in when that bet was placed. Was that in early April or was that
I,
placed
you would
right?
think so.
You would think, right? Because to
Yeah.
have a rally, you would have to be in a negative territory, and currently we're not. But 3 billion is, I mean,
That's an
that's healthy.
absurd amount.
Yeah, there's got to be some type of certainty. I mean, I guess if you look at the averages of how the market has moved over the past 85 to 100 years, it feels like a safe bet.
Mhm.
But when you have that type of capital allocated to it, it feels like, all right, they know something for sure.
Yeah. And
Which
a
is
good time
encouraging for everybody who's invested.
for sure. Hold for the long term. If you're looking to, I would tell this person probably get out in either March or June before that summertime drought hits. But I'm sure they factored that in. A great piece of advice is to know in every scenario, worst case scenario, best case, mid tier, to run enough simulations to know what the outcome is going to be, so you're not guessing. Like I'm assuming on the low end that they'll probably walk away with 9 billion, but probably as high as 12 up to 15. This is a well placed bet, and I think you'll see a lot more institutions place this kind of run into the 2027 season to make up for what could be a deep pullback at the second half of 2027, which we told you when we was on Breakfast Club like 3 or 4 years ago. For the record.
Just so we're clear. And I will say this too. The Trump meeting, I know we talked before about the lack of, diversity, but there was a black person there, at least one that I saw that we didn't mention. So Aliko Dangote was in attendance.
Mhm.
Remember his name, guys. He's the richest black person in the world, out of Nigeria.
Mhm.
So I actually recently, I didn't see him before. He's not American, so he wouldn't be in that group photo that they took. But he actually was there. I saw him talking to Trump, and the Crown Prince. So okay, Dangote was there. He was there. So
Mhm.
that's important.
Makes a lot of sense.
That's important to keep in mind. So let's do this. Since we just talked about how the market was expected to go up, right? On the other shoe, that
Mhm.
Bank of America just put an advisory to short the S&P 500, stating a global shift away from U.S. equities. So, and then we looked at the bond degrading
Mhm.
of credit ratings when it comes to the bond market, and there's been a lot of talk of that. So, is the era of USA exceptionalism over, and how will that impact the future of the stock market?
Exceptionalism maybe for the country or our credit rating. The equity side, no. Like one of our best companies hasn't even went public yet. Like, even though I'm not the
glad.
biggest fan of Palantir,
Yeah.
Palantir is kicking ass too. So you have OpenAI, Palantir, and Anduril. That's a big three. That's like 3 LeBrons that we got that's not even IPO'd yet. While Nvidia is going to pick up the bag in Saudi Arabia, and they got approved for the non-Blackwell derivative to go to China.
Yeah.
I love everyone at Bank of America. Shout out to everyone in Charlotte. Shorting the bond market would be a better move. I think shorting U.S. equities, That's one of the few assets that we have that are still going in our favor. Is a tremendous mistake. And I think they may have put out this advisory a little bit around the April drought, which is it's a great lesson in not making emotional decisions in a momentary drop. Because if I told you, hey, in a year or a year and a half, the company that is altering technology in Silicon Valley is going public, why would I want to short that market? To me, it makes no sense. So no, I would not short the market at this time or any time in the future, especially with the like Microsoft, OpenAI, Nvidia. Elon even made a declaration: hey, I'm going back to sleeping in the conference rooms. Now, when listen, I want to be clear. When he's focused and off the other stuff, and he's in the conference room and sleeping next to the server, Elon's a different entrepreneur. I would not want to bet against that man. So what he had to talk with the little baby mamas. Hey, I'm locked in the next 100 days. Fellas, you gotta have a talk once in a while. It's hard to bet against Tesla until then. Another great company, Starlink, is publicly traded. I would not want to go against that and go against the trend of betting against us.
I'm glad you said that. I 100% agree with you. I almost thought like, is he ain't going? I'm glad you did that because when it comes to innovation, especially in the equities market, I mean, the leader is clear. We can see it from Nvidia. We can see it from Microsoft. I'm glad you brought up OpenAI and what they're going to be doing, and now in consumer tech, which is going to be a huge market for them, and going to cripple a couple of other companies that we might mention later on tonight. But yeah, I mean, you got to throw Meta in that conversation,
sure.
Obviously from a data standpoint, but also from a broadband standpoint and what they're doing in terms of technology. We talked about the W project a few months ago, but you don't want to forget that, right? When what Starlink is doing in the air, you know, Meta is doing underground, underneath the water. So innovation is still there. Palantir, you talked about biotech is still is a space that we're innovating in. I would not. Again, history shows us what the United States equities market will do over the course of time. Definitely, I would not be shorting it.
Yes, and even with the debt being at a record high, we have to look at some of these countries like kingdoms. I don't think it's fair to just say that their companies inside, like the revenue that they're making is higher than the GDP of some countries, like major countries.
Major.
So like even you talking about the W project, that used to be reserved for hedge funds. Meta is the hedge fund. If you own all the cable for all the connectivities, that's a huge asset to have for sure. So no, 0%.
And then top of that, to add to it, if you look at the connectivity of that, look at where it's located, right? It's running from North America, going around the coast of South Africa, and then it's going through India too. So that's a key component to infrastructure, especially from the AI standpoint, where data centers will be put internationally. What's the connectivity to them? You got to watch those key steps and start putting the dots together.
Yeah.